Hi there, and welcome to Green Shoe Conversations, episode 27. I'm Stephanie Cochran. I am the executive director for the Green Shoe Foundation, and welcome to our kind of special Thanksgiving podcast. And what makes this one so incredibly special, especially for me, is I have my whole entire team with us. So here we go. We've got Miss Teresa Deck. I've got Mr. Stephen Brinkworth. I've got Miss Rebecca Holt and our ever famous Miss Amanda Newland. So, hey guys.
Hey.
Is this the first time we've all been on this?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. So, and it is Thanksgiving week. We're actually recording the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. I know this will go live on Friday. But over this past month, we've been talking about gratitude and what that means to us, how we find gratitude in all things, and how to kind of practice gratitude, not just in November, but kind of year round. And so we kind of wanted to kind of have a fun time just to talk about our fun Thanksgiving traditions, and then also how Thanksgiving may be looking for us this year, which is a little different. So let's start out. We're going to talk about favorite Thanksgiving tradition. Who wants to start?
I will.
All right, go, Miss Rebecca.
So Thanksgiving is my family's biggest holiday, and we have a farm in Southeast Oklahoma. And so it's really neat because normally we cook all the food, we load it up, and we go out to our farm and we eat Thanksgiving lunch in the pasture. We set up chairs and tables and we spend the day around the fire and just at the farm enjoying nature.
I love that. What else? Who else has a good Thanksgiving, either a tradition that you do now or maybe an old tradition growing up?
Fix a turkey and watch Dallas Cowboys play in the afternoon.
I wonder how many of you guys, that's a tradition. I know for me, the Cowboys. Yeah.
Oh,
or
yeah.
football. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's always our big one. And we've always done a lunch Thanksgiving. That way we would be all done and cleaned up and everything in time for the Cowboy game.
Right.
So that's what was funny about that.
Yeah.
Steve, Amanda, what about you guys?
Mine gets spread across the whole day. So I've had multiple family gatherings that I go to each year. Mom's side of the family, dad's side of the family, stepmom's side of the family. And in the past, what that looked like was I would get the morning to be with mom's family and doing all the prep work and doing some of that cooking and getting to take part in some of those favorite recipes. But then I would so mom's family would do kind of earlier in the day, dad's family a little bit later in the day, stepmom's family a little bit later. So it's almost travel by taste. And I had to make sure that I didn't eat my fill at the first menu. And so I could eat a little bit along the way. And so I definitely did not have it in me to watch a football game after 3 meals. When I was done, and that was an exciting piece too.
Sounds like a nap after all that.
Wonderful time with family, and then soak up that time on the couch.
What is it about the turkey that makes you sleepy? If you had 3 doses of it, then you really may have been.
It's called tryptophan.
There you
go.
Little tryptophan there, Steve.
Oh yeah.
That's fun.
Amanda, you?
I don't know, like ours has always been different because my husband and I lived in Texas and we have a bunch of family up in Oklahoma and Missouri. So we were the ones that always had to travel and drive a lot. So a lot of our Thanksgiving was actually spent in the car and like jamming out and eating convenience store snacks. Because we're trying to get from one place to the next. So this is really kind of the first year where we're home and like we have family here. So, and it's just kind of sad because, we're not really gathering either. So, but yeah.
I get that. When I asked this question, I kind of went back to what it was like when I was a kid. And we would drive up to Oklahoma to see, my grandparents have a ranch in Southeast Oklahoma. And both my grandparents lived in the same town, But for us, Thanksgiving was also Christmas, because on one side of my family, those grandparents, they went down to South Texas for the winter. And so we would always get together and have Christmas with them on Thanksgiving. And then they would head down south the day after Thanksgiving. So as a kid, I loved that because I got to start Christmas on Thanksgiving and they got to continue. And so maybe that's where my whole mentality, I've got to start Christmas on Thanksgiving, by putting the decorations up, and I've been good. I've waited, but it's always a big deal to get the tree out on Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
Start that.
absolutely.
So yeah. What about favorite Thanksgiving foods? We've kind of already talked about all the foods we cook.
My grandmother, and which was her mother, so I know several generations back, we always made noodles. And some people have said, well, that's from your German background. It might be. Stonger was their name, and so they were probably from Germany. And so we always made noodles with and I still make homemade noodles to go with my turkey. So that's one of my favorites. And my kids, I remember the first time feeding each of my babies those noodles, and just how good that tastes. And then I got a sweet potato casserole recipe that has brown sugar and pecans from a friend 30 some years ago, and that has been a staple in our family as well since then. So those are my two, and pecan pie, of course. So
I want to try these noodles sometimes. I've never heard that.
Me either.
I know, that's neat. Yeah, for us, I mean, it's almost like everybody has their favorite. So we have so much food, but I love the desserts. And my grandmother's pecan pie, and still carrying that recipe, I love that. But then I do a carrot cake that, my kids have to have, that's got to be on the table. So I love the turkey and the dressing and all the other stuff, but I always make sure I save my plates for the desserts.
mm-hmm.
My mom's side of the family, we did 3 different types of dressing. So there was one that was in the bird, one out of the bird, and then there was a cornbread stuffing too. So it was a necessity that all 3 of those be on the table each year, because each of us liked different ones, and some of us, like myself, liked a little bit of each. And French silk pie was always a nice treat at the end of the meal too. Thinking about going from house to house, carbs were always a favorite, and I had to leave room, but potatoes, and then some of the different breads that we would do. I think of those Rhodes, the self-rising rolls, and some crescent rolls, but those were always favorites.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Rebecca, Amanda?
I think for me, it's definitely the dressing. And it's a really special dish because my grandmother, normally there's like a flurry of people in the kitchen just cooking, and my grandma just has this huge bowl. It was my great grandmother's bowl, so it's really special. And there's no recipe. We've tried for so long. Grandma will just write it down, but she'll just grab something and put it in, or she'll just grab someone and be like, bring me this. And so, we just have pans and pans of dressing because there's so many of us. And so that's the only time of year that I have something like that, is at Thanksgiving, because it's so special. It's so unique.
That's fun. I don't have any sweet stories like this, so I feel kind of out of the loop here. But to be very honest, and I got made fun of for it, I like the canned cranberries. I think they're delicious.
I do too.
I think it's amazing. And then we always have rolls. So I agree with Steve with the carbs, anything carbs. But we didn't have fresh baked rolls. We always did the Hawaiian Kings. So we got canned cranberries and instant rolls, and I was sold. So those are probably my favorites.
Sometimes the simple's the best.
Yes.
Oh, goodness. Well, we've talked about this the last couple of weeks, how Thanksgiving is looking a lot different for a lot of us. People aren't able to travel. They're not able to get together because of the global pandemic that we're in. And we've shared kind of our stories and all of that. And Teresa, you had such a great idea last week in last week's podcast when you talked about coming up with new traditions. We've talked about all of our fun traditions and things that we do. And so for me, when I heard you talk about that, that really sparked kind of some excitement and joy. And that's something that I went home and talked to my husband about, is like, okay, yes, I'm sad that I can't see my parents and be with my family, but let's think about new traditions. Did anybody else, are y'all doing anything new this year, kind of purposefully or just maybe even accidentally, that because of the change, that's what your Thanksgiving is going to be this year?
We have a Zoom meeting set up. My niece sent me the email with the Zoom request. Tomorrow at 2:00. We're going to have dessert together via Zoom. So I've got family in Springfield, Missouri, and Tulsa, Fort Worth, Texas, and me in Edmond, Oklahoma. And we're going to have a Zoom dessert party together for Thanksgiving. So, and it's at 2:00, so it's before the game. So I'm good.
That's awesome. And that's probably getting people together that wouldn't be together normally anyways. How exciting.
Yeah.
We're doing something similar. Tomorrow morning, we're going to do coffee, but I got a hold of all of the grandkids, all my cousins. So my grandmother, I think Zoom might blow her mind, but she's going to get to see all of her grandkids on Thanksgiving. So we're going to have coffee with her in the morning on Zoom.
Oh, neat.
Good. Mm-hmm.
Well, one of the things that's been really nice, having traveled every year, COVID has kind of stopped that. And so my wife and I were talking last night that we're going to do a completely different menu this year. And so no turkey, we're actually doing pot roast. And one of the things that we've talked about with a Friendsgiving that we've done in the past, a favorite recipe from that has been cheese grits. And so we're going to do some pot roast and cheese grits, and we may do s'mores out back if the wind will allow us to have a fire. So getting to intentionally do our own tradition this year and kind of play around with some ideas that might be fun to continue next year. And if we decide to do new ones next year, that's okay too.
Yeah, I'm kind of with Steve. Like Zach and I, we're staying in our pajamas all day, and we picked out like a movie series. We're gonna watch the Bourne series, and then instead of doing turkey or an actual meal, we just decided on like our favorite appetizers, like deviled eggs and artichoke spinach dip, and we're just gonna eat all day, and then put up our Christmas tree, Christmas lights, and just kind of go from there. And then just maybe kind of play with that a little bit and see what we can implement next year as like a tradition. So it's kind of nice to like reset, even though we're not around family.
Yeah, I like that too. I love the cooking, but this year seems, even though we're not traveling, it seems so less stressful. And I think some of it's because I get to be in my kitchen, and get to cook. I'm going to actually use my china that I got when we were married. Y'all, I think I've used it like 3 times in 25 years. So I'm going to pull that out. My kids, I don't think have ever seen it or don't even know that I have it. But I'm kind of excited. It's like, oh yeah, I get to actually use my china, and set the table. So I'm kind of excited about that. It just being the 4 of us. Graham is literally on his way now, driving up. And so he will be home for the next 2 months. And I'm kind of excited to get kind of our time back, because it's probably going to be the last time I'm going to get that extended period of time with him. So I'm really, really excited about that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that I know we're going to play around with in terms of, it's not specifically Thanksgiving, but the discussion starts around Thanksgiving of when my mom and I are going to continue the family tradition of making Aunt Bills, which is given out around Christmas, but it's a really long process to make the candy. And so we start kind of trying to figure out calendars to put that together. So that's kind of an exciting piece too for getting into that holiday tradition.
Hey, Steve, talk a little bit more about that, because you guys have actually been even in the paper for this. So talk a bit more what that is.
You're famous.
I forget the exact number of years, but we're 80 some years as a family tradition of making Aunt Bill's brown candy, which was an Oklahoma recipe put out in the newspaper a long time ago. And my mom's dad used to make this with his mom together. And the only year that it did not get made together was when he was in World War II and was overseas. And so, other than that, he passed that tradition on to my mom. The two of them made that for a long time together. My mom and I have made it together. And so it's been a continual effort, and I'll keep making it as years go forward. So it's something that's been a really fun and unique tradition. It's something that when I went to school in North Carolina, absolutely nobody had heard of Aunt Bill's brown cake. And there are a few people here in Oklahoma. It is an Oklahoma candy, but it's not a really common piece like peanut brittle or fudge, some of those things that we see around the holidays. So it's a great tradition, and there's just putting that piece of candy in my mouth brings back so many memories, and it's really awesome.
It's delicious. I've had some.
I love that story. Well, what suggestions do we have for folks out there who are looking to try something different or just have a COVID safe Thanksgiving? I know we've kind of done some research, but what have you guys, read about, heard about, that we kind of want people to hear?
Some of the things that we've heard from the health professionals, of course, that we've been hearing over and over again is no large gatherings. That's huge. No large gatherings. If you're inside for more than 15 minutes and you can't social distance, and you still should wear a mask. I mean, that is one of the things. If you don't know where someone else where they've been or who they've been in contact with. So I think those are the biggest piece. No large gatherings, wear a mask, social distance. If you can eat outside, eat outside. It's going to be warmer here in Oklahoma tomorrow. So that's a positive thing about that. But those are some of the things that I think are really important and helpful. So somebody else?
Some great ideas too about, when you're eating outside, using the fun paper plates and the picnicware. So everybody has their own individual serving utensils and different things like that, which makes cleanup so much easier. So not only is that a great COVID precaution, but again, it just helps, with the less stress. I also saw too, where especially if you've got kiddos ahead of time, they can color and decorate the disposable mask for Thanksgiving. So everybody gets to have a fun mask to wear. So kind of embracing it and making it fun or making an art project. They were like gluing little turkey things. So like you were like a little turkey, and so I thought that was a great idea to kind of help, make it not so awkward as far as here's your mask, and making it fun. Anything else you guys have heard or, want to throw out there?
I've got some friends that are gathering outside, but they're bringing their own dish. So there's not sharing or there's no buffet, and not one person is in charge of serving or making individual plates. You just bring your own. Yeah. So I thought that was a really good idea.
Yeah, I like that.
I heard one this morning. There's a show that's on NPR on Thursday that lasts all day called Turkey Confidential. And it's an opportunity for people who are cooking to call in and speak to a chef about troubleshooting some of the stuff that goes on with trying to prep your holiday meal. So there's some really funny stories. There's some serious chef questions, but one of the things they talked about was utilizing Zoom, and where we're having smaller gatherings, maybe even have a Zoom with your gathering and another part of the family where each of us are together during the prep work, as opposed to the eating part of it. So talk and communicate and connect. And so I was hearing that this morning, just kind of as a discussion piece, and thinking about, Rebecca, you were talking about doing coffee, having that time where we still get to connect physically at a distance.
Yeah. That is
I
great.
think Tanya Tucker heard I was doing a podcast. She's at the door. Pause.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you like that, but I'll let you know Tanya's talking and Penske's parked up. So I love that.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for
keep-
her to jump in there.
I keep snapping below the table because I've got Winnie and all of them just like, away.
That's okay. That's what we love about these podcasts. Okay, one last thing.
there's a cat.
Sorry.
I can't plan this stuff.
And I can definitely say that we are so grateful for all of our fur babies. So that is definitely something. So before we go, you guys share something you're grateful for.
Mm.
I'm grateful for y'all. It's been a
Aw.
tough year, and it's been incredible to have not just coworkers, but a work family.
Mhm.
So I'm grateful for y'all.
Aw.
I'm grateful for, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Teresa.
I was just gonna say, and that made me think, I'm grateful for Green Shoe
Yeah.
and for our founder and for the work that we get to do and that we've gotten to do. And so I'm so grateful for the changed lives that we have seen this year. So.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Steve, I was thinking the same exact thing whenever you said that. Just so much gratitude for you guys and our team and what we're able to do at Green Shoe. You know, there's so many times that people ask, you know, how do you take care of yourself? And there's things I do, but having the support of you guys and a shared passion is just something I'm so incredibly grateful for.
It's huge, isn't it?
Yeah.
It
Well,
really is.
And that's what I was thinking about. I'm so grateful for everything I've learned since joining this team.
Mhm.
You know, and especially going through this pandemic. I mean, there's a lot of things that I'm grateful for. I'm grateful for the time that we've had to do further training and the conversations and how we pushed each other and been there and supported. And to have a work family like that is just incredible.
Mhm.
So no, I'm grateful for each and every one of you.
Yeah, I agree with everything that you all said, but I'm also just grateful for the flexibility because, you know, I've been working remotely and I miss seeing you guys in the office, but it's been great and kind of a blessing to have Zoom so we can still connect whenever I can't be in the office. So that's really great. But I also want to throw my mom and my husband in there because if I don't say that, I might get yelled at. So I'm grateful for my mom and my husband.
Mm.
Well,
I think
and that's something too, is I know how much our families are important to us. That's something I know we all share, you know, it's just the love for our families and having that commonality. Yeah. Is so important.
Yeah.
I was just
absolutely.
going to say the same thing because, you know, we always say, oh, I'm thankful for my kids. Yes, we are. And so we are all thankful and that we do share that common bond of we care about our family. That's very important to us. And so being able to express that gratitude towards them this Thanksgiving, I think is real important too. So.
It absolutely is.
Oh, yeah.
Well, guys, thanks for doing this and happy Thanksgiving to everybody out there. Hey, we're grateful for you guys for listening in. I mean, can y'all imagine 27 episodes? This has been absolutely amazing. And we wish everybody a very, very happy Thanksgiving from all of our families to you guys, from the Green Shoe family and everything. So have a safe and happy Thanksgiving. And we will talk to you guys again next week.